There's something silent yet powerful between them. A kind of connection that defies simple words like friendship. It's in the way time seems to stop when their eyes meet, as if the world itself forgets to breathe for just a moment. For those who have followed their journey since the Untamed, the bond between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan has become more than just a story. It has turned into an emotion, a quiet, unspoken love that lingers in the spaces between their smiles, in the pauses between their words, in the warmth of something that doesn't need to be named, to be deeply, painfully real. When they first met on the set of The Untamed, no one could have predicted that this partnership would grow into something that transcended the boundaries of a drama. Two souls from different worlds. Xiao Zhan, gentle, warm, and empathetic. Wang Yibo, mysterious, reserved, and calm like a still lake. They shouldn't have fit together, and yet somehow they did. Behind the camera, the crew often spoke in whispers. There was something in the air between them. Not tension, but an invisible gravity. Every time they stood near each other, the energy shifted. Their eyes would seek each other unconsciously, as though drawn by an unspoken force. In those quiet seconds, it felt as if the entire set existed only for them. For Xiao Zhan, love was never something to be declared. He had always been cautious with his emotions, choosing to express them through gestures, through smiles that carried more weight than words ever could. But around Wang Yibo, something changed. Walls began to fall, slowly, silently. The way Xiao Zhan looked at him, a softness that betrayed every hidden feeling. A small, knowing smile that appeared for no reason, other than Yibo being there. It was subtle, but to those who watched closely, it was undeniable. In an old interview, when asked who made him feel most at ease on set, Xiao Zhan smiled faintly and said, "He knows who he is." It was a simple sentence, but for millions of fans, it felt like a confession wrapped in tenderness. Wang Yibo, on the other hand, was never one to wear his heart on his sleeve. He spoke little, but his actions whispered everything. He was the kind of person who didn't need to say, "I'm here," because you could feel it. When the storms of fame and rumors hit Xiao Zhan in 2020, Yibo didn't disappear. He stayed, quietly, steadfastly. There were no public statements, no grand gestures, but behind the scenes, there were traces, small but certain, that he was still there, still caring, still watching over him from the distance. That fame forced them to keep. Among fans, one photograph became legendary. Wang Yibo looking at Xiao Zhan, not as a co-star, but as someone whose presence meant more than words could ever hold. That look, full of respect, affection, and something deeper, was captured forever. And people said, "That's not chemistry, that's love." But love like theirs was never easy. The world, often unkind to beauty it cannot explain, tested them. Rumors spread, fingers pointed, and the distance between them grew. Yet, even when separated by time and silence, their connection refused to fade. It lingered, in mirrored bracelets, in the same shade of clothing, in phrases spoken years apart, that somehow completed each other's thoughts. Fans began to recognize the pattern. A secret language, written not in words, but in symbols only they seemed to understand. When Yibo released lyrics about someone who stays even when the world changes, the fandom didn't need names. They already knew. And when Xiao Zhan sang about a light that never fades, no matter how deep the darkness, it felt like an answer, a conversation between two souls, carried through melodies instead of messages. Because love, the truest kind, doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it lives in silence, in the way two hearts recognize each other, without needing to speak. Neither of them ever confirmed anything, but every time they appeared separately, there was always something. A shared color palette, a familiar gesture, a mirrored smile. Coincidence? Or perhaps their way of saying, "I still remember." Fans didn't need declarations. They saw it in the way Yibo's eyes softened, whenever Xiao Zhan's name was mentioned, in the way Xiao Zhan's lips curved, when Yibo's achievements were celebrated, even when oceans of schedules kept them apart, fate seemed to weave invisible threads that kept pulling them back together. In award shows, in brand collaborations, in fleeting, almost secret, online signals. The world might not always see it, but those who look closely know. Their story didn't end. It simply learned to live in silence. When Xiao Zhan once said, "There's someone who gives me strength, even when he isn't by my side," the meaning was clear to anyone who had ever watched them. And when Wang Yibo said, "I value the ones who never change, no matter how the world does," it felt like an echo across time, one heart answering another. There is beauty in imperfection, power in love that survives the storm, and magic in two hearts that find each other again and again, even when the world tries to tear them apart. Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan remind us that real love doesn't always live under bright lights. Sometimes it grows quietly, in the shadows of fame, in the pauses between moments. Their love, if we dare to call it that, isn't loud or obvious. It moves like the tide, steady, patient, eternal. It exists not in grand gestures, but in the soft gravity between glances, in the unspoken understanding that sometimes silence is the most romantic language of all. Even now, though they rarely appear together, their presence still lingers, alive in memories, alive in hope. The world keeps changing. Their careers soar in different directions, yet something about them remains untouched. As if, deep down, their souls still hum to the same melody. Perhaps they cannot stand side by side in public, but in the quiet places of their hearts, they have already found each other. Xiao Zhan opened his heart, and Wang Yibo filled it, gently, completely. It's a love not shouted to the world, but lived in silence, in strength, in truth. Because sometimes, the most powerful love stories aren't the ones told loudly. They're the ones whispered in glances, held in the space between breaths. And perhaps that's why, whenever we see them, even apart, we feel it, that quiet pull, that deep, unexplainable tenderness. A reminder that some hearts are simply meant to find each other, again and again, no matter how far apart they may drift. And in that silence, in that invisible connection, we see a reflection of what love truly is. Real, pure, unbreakable. So tell me, do you feel it too? Do you see that bond? The way their eyes once spoke louder than any confession ever could? Share your thoughts below. And if their story still moves you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay with us for more stories where love and destiny meet once again.